I'd like to speak about inspiration as something inherited through interaction with a person or a set of people who carry forward a torch. One that was lit long ago, extending infinitely into the past, drawing upon centuries of human agreement and knowledge. One with the capability of casting light into the future. By linking oneself to a chain of thinkers and makers that have preserved and added to any body of knowledge, inspiration can become an instrument for continuity in art. This is Khan, Lou Khan, an architect of Estonian Jewish origin who migrated to the States in 1906. His reverence for ancient architecture, poetry, and drawing allowed him to design in a uniquely timeless way, and he produced some of the world's most enduring and universally meaning structures. My mentor, Gary Moy, studied and worked for him before Khan died. This peculiar man influenced many with his aesthetic and social aspirations, and he has profoundly affected my view of inspiration. It is in his language that we find impetus to make art, in his case, places for human dwelling. I'd like to show how language can be the progenitor for inspiration and creation. Language, spoken, graphic, or written, has the potential to interact with the immeasurable realm of beauty. He spoke of silence. Silence is a state of wanting to be, that before a building begins to rise, its notion and essence waits in Jubilean anticipation, aware of its destined beauty. The plan exists as a reticent symphony of silence and light. He called that the ambient soul desiring to be. What inspired him was the beginnings and the idea that at the onset of any endeavor was vast possibility. To Khan, silence and shadow were somewhat synonymous. He attributed to them a quality of mystery and awe and called the building a treasury of the shadows. His words evoke a sense of responsibility to protect the sanctity that lies in silence, within one or within a building, and to let that wonder unfold as if in a drama. But to Khan, light is the giver of all presences. He often said, all material in nature, the mountains, streams, the air and we are made of light, which has been spent. This crumpled mass called material casts a shadow, and the shadow belongs to light. For him, light is the maker of a material, and the material's purpose is to cast a shadow. However, I think intent behind using light was what he was really fascinated by. He said that the sensitive is the pantheon. This non-directional room dedicated to all religions has its light only from the oculus above, placed to invest the room with inspired ritual without favoritism. In the pantheon, he saw an example of a completely egalitarian light that shines predictably and equally over the course of years upon stone coffers, columns, and floors waiting to be given their calling to life. In his language about light and silence, and in his buildings, one finds the inspiration to use light with meticulous thought-out intent. To him, light and only natural light gave presence to a room, and the way that light enters has meaning and implications. He often recited a line from Wallace Stevens' poem, The Prods, "What slice of light does your building have?" He inspires us to make a special connection between a space and the sky, the time of day, the fluctuations and character of light over seasons. And also to say with light, this space is important. It is a small room to read in that needs soft light from above, or perhaps it looks to a bosque of cypress trees, so the window should be a sort of picture-frame portico, or maybe even a gallery for sculptures where every contour could be made the threshold between shadow and light. He talks about a conversation he had at Brick. You say to Brick, "What do you want, Brick?" And the Brick says, "I like an arch." And he says to Brick, "Well, look, I want one too, but arches are expensive, and I can use a concrete lintel." So he says, "What do you think of that, Brick?" Brick says, "I like an arch." He also would tell the story of Sinan, who once was commissioned by the great Sultan to make a mosque, and he asked, before the building was built, he asked that every single piece to be used in the construction be put on the site and left there for 100 years. The outraged Sultan said, "You asked me to throw the gold of my pockets on the floor for a century," and he answered, "Great Sultan, if this is a building that will glorify you for 1,000 years, shouldn't the materials in the earth decide how to best glorify you?" But what he understood was that this was something that had never been done before and the earth needed to settle. And Khan was similar in the way that he used playful language to say that materials had a destiny of their own. This fully load-bearing circle that's made out of brick is a seismic technique. It's beautiful, but it also is a low-technology way in a place ridden by earthquakes. But he really loved ruins. He said that when a building is in service and finished, the building wants to say, "Look at me, I want to tell you how I was made." But nobody listens. Everyone's just going from room to room. But when a building is a ruin, it's free of certitude, and the spirit emerges to tell of the marvel from which it was made. I wish his buildings could speak. What he was inspired by was clarity and universal perceivable essence that is communicated by the ruins of ancient builders. It's remarkable. He produced some structures that were precise and enduring in their construction, and you ask, like for instance, the stair of travertine will forever invite to vaults of concrete lined with marble panels that will age proudly over the years. You see nothing else. Maybe these buildings would say, "See me, I was made to be on the water, for a people who live by the water. Take life from the water. I will be constant over the years, reminding you that for all that occurs above, there is as much below the surface. You and I and all our things dwell with the water, and with respect we coexist." Perhaps like him, we could be inspired to make things that celebrate how time marches forward and that we interact with that time in the way that we dwell? Could we be like a courtyard that will sit silently telling a story, like a Sufi parable that reminds us that while there is much beauty beyond, look to the interior and there you will find all the beauty and also its source. Make, and make again. That is the inspiring legacy of Liu Khan. Endless exploration, iteration, design, redesign, always playing with wonder. And his language reveals a tireless pursuit to actualize the latent beauty that is in the hands of the maker. But moreover, the collaborative spirit that is necessary to make a thing from a drafting board or a model all the way to an actual instantiation. Because every endeavor of greatness is not of just one woman or man. For instance, to build a national assembly of a nation, the inspired minds and hands of thousands are necessary. And then it goes on to affect the lives of many times more. And with the passing of decades, its nature changes because human agreement and activity is what nature's the thing and influence what it is and how it is viewed. But inspiration, like a glowing in the dark, appears from somewhere, and it is like a torch, handed forward to cast light onto where we could go. I spend a lot of time thinking about this man and his work and his words, and the more I look, the more I see. A deep love was his inspiration, and to him inspiration was everything and beyond any one person. He saw inspiration as the beginning, a call to existence. He called all works of art an offering to the spirit of beauty, reminding us that like all streams of water, they desire to return to the ocean. I quote, "Poetry, is it in beauty? Is it in wonder? Is it in revelation? It is in the beginning, in the first thought, the inspiration, in the first sense of the means of expression. A poet is in thought of beauty and existence, yet a poem is only an offering, to which the poet is less." Thank you very much.